Better late than never. Holy shit! Look at how they just happened to lay out. This is a church feed. Holy shit. Jesus. No, Jesus. You guys like my profile picture? I know you're all just dirty. You all think it's something dirty, but it's not. It's that. But hey, what do I know? So, a lot of shit going on around about these fucking hostages and shit. I found a video this morning that was sent to me that I thought I would just watch it. But I wanted to wait for y'all. I didn't want to have any pregame knowledge, so let's check out what this shit says. What they're saying. New video, emaciated hostages. I want to see this.
President Trump's special envoy to the Middle East met with hostage
this guy looks
families
real.
in Israel this weekend. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum says that Steve Witkoff told them a ceasefire deal should be an all-or-nothing agreement with all 50 hostages in Gaza being returned in one go.
Bring them home.
Protesters had
Fake
gathered
bullshit.
in Tel Aviv after Hamas released videos showing emaciated Israeli hostages
Oh, I'd
still
love to
held
see
in
this.
Gaza. A warning: these images are disturbing.
Oh, yes. Let's
This is
see.
a still image from the video.
Bullshit.
It shows one hostage.
Look at that angle.
Fragile state. As ceasefire talks remain stalled, Palestinians in Gaza are
That's it?
facing a mounting hunger crisis.
Right.
Joining me now to discuss CNN Global Affairs analyst Kimberly Dozier. Good morning to you. Let's start with these images.
These
Why do you
images that
think
Hamas is releasing.
released them now?
It's a tactic to put pressure on the Israeli government to make concessions because what's
they're
happened
being
is the
just
Israeli government
genocide.
and the White House together have decided to go with a more maximum pressure campaign instead of saying yes to some of Hamas's demanded compromises as part of this two-stage deal. The U.S. and Israel are now saying it's got to be done in a one-shot deal where Hamas agrees to completely disarm and all of the living and the dead hostages are turned over. Maximalist positions.
Why would they have the dead hostages? Do you know how stupid that is?
No, we won't disarm. We won't disarm until there's a Palestinian state. So that's
Which
why
they
Trump
shouldn't.
had to meet with the hostage families to tell them this doesn't mean they've given up on their loved ones.
And so this hardening on both sides, where does this lead? Talks broke down a little more than a week ago, maybe a week and a half now. Where does this go?
Interesting. My comments on this video have been removed.
Netanyahu is facing not only from those families, but in his own government. From the president here in the U.S., what's next?
Well,
They sure do let a lot of
in
other
cases
dumb
like this in the
comments come
past,
through, but
when
not
you've
mine.
got Israel and the U.S. playing the hard line, that's when you've got to have somebody else step in. And in this case, you've got the Qatar and Turkey route together with Egypt. They're continuing to talk to Hamas. Hamas leadership went to Turkey for discussions there, trying to get them.
Interesting how my comments were removed. So I've literally done everything I can to prove that October 7th is real, that it actually happened, that it, I've been saying from the beginning that it was a false flag, that no Israelis were killed or taken hostage on that day, that it's all just a bunch of bullshit. But, the narrative will have you believing otherwise. Images of emaciated hostages. I mean, like, if you took pictures of my kid, especially my youngest, from certain angles, he can pop his shoulder up and make his shoulder blade stick out and shit. You could easily make him look emaciated. Easily. He's just really skinny. And that's literally how I used to look when I was a kid. And when you look at who his parents are, like the one kid that doesn't make sense is the older one, because he's like a fucking tank. He's got my grandfather's build. But this is literally, they're just stretching just the idea that Hamas would still have any of those hostages still alive is just bullshit. The whole narrative is bullshit. You know, well, Hamas released a memo shortly before the attack. Egypt even posted it, saying that they planned on taking 200 hostages. How? With their paragliders. And in case you don't believe the paraglider story, Hamas released a training. They were using paragliders. My own kind of other. They're probably unprepared for me to go live this late. But they'll be here, don't worry. You know, this is one of those things where you know, there was no investigation into it. You're saying that some grave attack happened, which was then justification for a genocide, and there was no investigation into it. Everybody's just taken Israel's word for things, or on things. And at this point, if you're not paying attention, then you're foolish. But Israel does nothing but lie. They lie all the time. A great example of that is a guy called Hai, H-A-I, Shalain, H-A-S-H-A-U-L-I-A-N or L-A-I-N. Can't remember which one it is. But he was said to be, during COVID, he was said to be the number one, like, thorn in the side protester in Israel. He was the biggest headache that the Israeli government faced when it came to like vaccines and green passes and, you know, all of that shit, supposedly, right? And so Manny, what's happening, Manny? And so he was supposedly at a no mask rally surrounded by a bunch of other people without masks on, where he was arrested. They don't really say why he was arrested or anything like that. That he was just arrested. He was taken to the jail. 2 days later, he was taken to hospital with what turned out to be super COVID, because in 8 days he was dead. Start to finish, from being arrested until dying, it was 10 days. And it was because he once he got taken to jail, he's, I guess, developed this super COVID that, you know, nobody else that was at the rally checked themselves into the hospital 2 days later with super COVID. All the COVID germs were spreading because they were at the no mask rally. Spit flying everywhere. And so the day before he died, which was a Saturday, so 8 days after being taken to the hospital, apparently, it was 7 days after being taken to the hospital, he apparently was allowed to use some sort of communication device, to which he posted that he was too sick to comment or respond to direct messages, but with some prayer and good medicine, he should have this knocked out in about 3 weeks. But if he does die, it's because they poisoned him. This is what this man said. And then the next day he supposedly died. The thing is, you know, after the fact, after he's dead, there's no outcry. Hey, this was the #1 protester guy, suddenly died. We need an investigation. This, then. He said he was poisoned. None of that happened. His family didn't care. His friends and, his support. #1 protester guy. Meaning his supporters are ravenous conspiracy theorists. And yet nobody said anything about it. And the funniest thing is, if you go try to look him up, you would think #1 protest guy would have a pretty big social media footprint. Nope. He literally only appears to tell the story of the guy who breaks the rules, who doesn't listen, who gets arrested for nothing, secretly taken to jail, poisoned, and then dies, and nobody gives a shit. Like, it's just an assault on our psyche. It's not real. It's not a real story. It's fake. And so when Israel puts out these narratives of this October 7th narrative, to believe them is foolish. If you're really interested in submarine talks, go watch the first 9 parts. The first 9 parts of the Submarines Aren't Real series are all about submarines not being real. But interesting how you focus on that part of the title, which is the title of the show, because then it says part Sunday Morning Mass Hole, October 7th False Flag Edition. So you're clearly aware of the title, but you're only focusing on one part for some reason. But the October 7th narrative is literally just, it's bullshit. I mean, it's the strangest thing. Like, the fact that some dumbass in Michigan can put together what I believe would be enough of an argument to warrant an investigation. If I can do it, where can I find this 9-part series? My videos. Go back to the first one titled Submarines Aren't Real, and then you'll see, a bunch of videos afterward. But first 9 parts, we absolutely talk about submarines. Go have fun. Just think, I don't know how much you weigh, but my 200-pound body floats in the water when I take in that much air. That much air keeps a 200-pound body, 70% water. That air makes up 2-3% of my density, my total body mass. And somehow that keeps my 200-pound body floating. Just keep that in mind. But why would anyone care? I mean, why would anyone care about my belief in submarines? Although I do think, for some reason, this is a real hot-button topic. He's looking for a point on his scoreboard. Absolutely. Let's see. Joined YouTube 18 years ago and has no subscribers. I believe it. We had about a minute and a half to get the numbers up before I have to reset because something weird is going on. But, the narrative that, like, just the narrative itself, that Israel, super badass Israel, that the area of Israel where the most cameras, most heavily surveilled area in the region, also happened to be the spot where the attack took place. And yet, for some reason, there's no footage of it. Like, there's just more so on the series on your page. Is it a playlist? No, just go to my videos, my previous videos, and go backwards. This is the fact that I've blindly tried to find evidence of Hamas attacking Israel. tried to find footage of it without doing it beforehand so I know what I'm not going to find, but to be looking for it and not find anything, or at least not find anything convincing. The stuff that you can find is like videos of people at a festival getting out of their car so they can run across a big open field to get away from bullets. Why would you get out of your car? It's so, there's so much of that kind of shit where it just doesn't make sense. Where somebody decides to film themselves escaping, so this is all you see. You know, you see them like, and then they stop and they'll be like, they'll fall and they'll rest behind a tree and they'll be like, and that's literally all you see. You don't see anything else. The stuff that is supposedly Hamas, this, that, or the other, it's just staged. I mean, where'd the camera even come from? You're telling me that's a dashboard camera. Well, why is the camera moving? So I'm going to have to come back because we've crossed the threshold that I'm comfortable with. I'll go to 20. If it's not up in the 15s or higher by 20, we'll reset. You know, I think I've done pretty extensive research into October 7th. I know that I have done way more research than anyone else on my feed. I can confidently say that none of you have looked into October 7th as much as I have. And I know, you know, some of you for some reason would take offense to that. And if you do, I'd love to hear your reasoning. You know? I'd love to know how anybody has looked into that shit and still believes it. I'm confused on where this series is. I see your live streams, I'll say it, but I can't find the videos. I don't know what to tell you, dude. It's YouTube. Generally pretty easy to figure out. How about this? How about stick around and in the next couple of videos, we'll do a submarine video just to see if everybody's brushed up on things and see what they've learned since I started questioning things. How's that? Like, share, and sub so that you're sent the notification the next time I go live, or one of the next times I go live, and we'll do a submarines video just for you. And I'm hoping anybody that sees this, that, you know, any of the regular truth or the regular trolls or whatever, brush up. You know, do your research and we'll talk about it. Do you have the series on Substack or Nebula? No, everything is on here. It's in my previous videos. That's it. I'm not the... If I was more technically savvy, I'd probably be allowed to have a bigger platform. But I'm kind of technically stupid, so... Subs are real. Ha ha ha. It's such a strange thing how important this seems to be. How much it seems to bother people. And again, I guarantee none of you have done as much research into submarines as I have. None of you. You're basically talking about something that maybe you've seen, like a boat at a dock or something somewhere. Maybe you've seen The Hunt for Red October, or, you know, any other fucking animated movie or whatever where submarines are a thing. But you know nothing about submarines. And the history of submarines it's just as crazy as any other narrative we're given, to where you hear it, you can read it for yourself, and it's like, why would anyone believe this? This is stupid. Live streams, previous live streams. All right, so I'm gonna have to reset because This is stupid. 20 minutes in, 5 viewers. So I'm going to reset. If you want to join me, join me. If you don't, pedophiles, kill yourself.